All right, welcome. ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Friday, the 24th of March. Good to have you aboard. We are a Blue Wire podcast. However you're listening to the program, I appreciate you guys. Make sure you like, you rate, you comment, you do all that good stuff. That really helps me. I don't know how it helps me. Like the algorithm does their stuff, and I don't know. It seems to be a good thing. So do all that stuff. I love you long time. Tell all your friends, tell your family members, tell your mother I say hello. Appreciate everyone, wherever you're listening. And of course, everything ZASLOW Show 2.0 is presented by Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys. 800-747-FREE. That's 800-747-3733. Those are my guys. Mark Anidjar, Glenn Levine, Ellie Anidjar. They've been behind me from day number one. This is impossible without them. So if you've been in an accident, I want to make sure that you get taken care of because I can't do this show without you either. You go to Anidjar and Levine. They're going to make sure you get the money you deserve. 800-747-FREE. That's 800-747-3733. So I keep talking about this, and I don't know what the answer is. I guess it just takes time. So the show's doing great. Numbers are really good. And the reaction, the response, wonderful, okay? But like I talked about this, recently, and I'll get to who I was speaking to it about in a moment here. But in social media, we kind of live in like an echo chamber, It's not real life. It distorts our view. And what I mean by that is, I get great interaction on social media about the show, about ZASLOW Show 2.0. And like I said, numbers are good, all that good stuff. There are still as much as I think the word is out there are still so many people, I would say the majority, still don't know where I am. So I told you guys, I did the show yesterday after missing Wednesday because I was in Orlando. I was at Universal Studios with my son. We went to a Magic game. We were there for a couple nights. Had a great time because he's on spring break. And I got recognized by a handful of listeners at Universal Studios. Really cool, right? It was funny. One guy with his family, we were in line at the Minions ride, I think. We were in line, and like 10 minutes into us being next to him and his family, he just turned to me and goes, "Hey, are you ZASLOW?" I was like, "Yeah," so he's a big fan, big listener. So at one point, one of the guys who came up to me, "Hey, are you ZASLOW?" "Yeah, hey, how you doing?" I shake his hand, And I could tell he's about to do the thing where he starts saying, "Oh, man, it really sucks." And, like, I knew what he was about to say. It really sucks that I was let go and that I'm not on the radio anymore. I've heard it before. So, like, I almost, like, stopped him as he was saying, I go, "I'm still doing the show every day." And he was like, "Really? Where?" And so I told him, wherever you listen to your podcast, I'm right there, ZASLOW Show 2.0. Punch it right in, playa. He was super excited. He was really glad to hear that. And that's what I'm talking about, where we're not just talking casuals. We're talking about someone who's a huge fan of mine. He recognizes me in Universal Studios, and he has no idea that I'm still doing the show. So I don't know any other. My wife thinks I should take a billboard out on I-95. I don't know any other way other than, doing that, which, it's very expensive. But I have a great following on social media. I got a lot of followers, so I pump all the stuff out there. And I guess it just takes time. I think there's so many people out there who don't know about the show still. And we've been doing this for about 5 months. Close to 5 months, I think, we've been doing ZASLOW Show 2.0. So it's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a bad thing because I want everyone to listen. But it's a good thing as well because as great that the reaction has been and the response has been and the participation and just the number of people who are following and listening to the show every day, the good thing is there's still there's so much room to grow because there's so many out there who don't know about the show. So that's where it comes back to you as well. Make sure you tell your friends, you tell your family, you tell everyone about the show. I love you long time. All right, so that was my roundabout way of getting to all that stuff. So, what a night last night. we've had years that the Canes and the Gators have been in the tournament at the same time. But, the Gators, they're not South Florida. Two South Florida teams, Canes, FAU Owls. Last night, I was very into that game. Now, I wasn't on the edge. I wasn't jumping up off the couch like I'm going to be tonight with the Canes. Oh, man, tonight, the whole day, actually. Look, it's Friday. That means we're going to have big game, not a big game. I don't want to spoil anything, but the Canes may very well be on big game, not a big game. I don't know, all right? We'll see. So anyway, before we get to big game, not a big game, and we got big movie, not a big movie coming up, but we got our usual Friday routine here. I got to start out with the tournament last night, and that means we got to start out with FAU. Let's give it up, man. Let's give Dusty May and them boys. Let's give it up to FAU. I'm happy for Ken Levica, radio voice of FAU men's basketball. He's been on the show a couple times over the last week. I mean, he'd never even been to Madison Square Garden. And now he's calling a Sweet 16 game. And tomorrow night, he's going to be calling the Elite Eight. He's going to be calling the regional championship from Madison Square Garden. So, and that's why I said yesterday when I had him on the show, dude, I don't know how you don't get ahead of yourself and say, you're a game away from playing for the Final Four. Well, now they're playing for the Final Four. FAU, who had only been to the tournament one time, and that was 21 years ago, had never won a tournament game and is now playing for the Final Four tomorrow night. Unbelievable. And that game was awesome last night, because here's the thing. While FAU really struggled in the first half, they dominated that second half. Especially that stretch of 13 minutes left till 6 minutes left. What was it, an 18-2 run? Took that Tennessee ass. What a performance by FAU. I'm really happy for them, man. And like I said, I wasn't jumping off, the edge of the couch, mainly because I was watching it in bed. It was already past, game didn't start till 9:35. So it's already 11:30. I'm watching in bed. I'm wide awake though. But every time, and I don't want to wake my wife because she's turned over and she's gone to sleep. Every time FAU scored, it was I took an exhilarated breath. And every time they scored, instead of yelping or cheering, it was a big breath. Like that. It was I hope that's coming out on the podcast. But it was an exhilarated inhale. is what I was doing after every FAU basket. And we talked to Ken Levica yesterday. I was like, is this the kind of group? Are they going to be nervous? And maybe they were nervous in the first half. I mean, they couldn't shoot, couldn't score. What was it, 20? How many points did they have in the first half? Was it 22? Were they down 27-22? Maybe it was a little bit more than that. It may have been into the early, it may have been 37-32. And then maybe you get to the second half, and I would imagine you get to halftime, listen, we're shooting the ball terrible. We're only down by 5. We're gonna have a streak, and I know Dusty May talked about it, so we're gonna have a streak. We're gonna have a run here. We're gonna have a stretch where we're gonna get hot, and an 18-2 run, getting stops, getting big 3-point baskets. What a second half for FAU! I mean, all of a sudden they were down the whole game, and then they finally take the lead with about 10 minutes left, 9.5 minutes left, and by the time there was 7 minutes left, 7.5, they're up by 10. You got the crowd, and granted it's an FAU, you got the FAU alum that's there, student body. You have a crowd at Madison Square Garden chanting, "Let's go Owls." Look, I don't care about FAU. And when I say that, I didn't go to school there, all right? But I'm watching that game last night, I'm like, I am into it. It's a South Florida school, and at Madison Square Garden, they're chanting, "Let's go Owls." I was very into that game last night. So cool. You don't know what that does for a school moving forward. So the next thing you got to talk about, and I asked Ken Levica this yesterday, what happens with Dusty May? And Nobody wants to think about that right now because as crazy as it is, the only thing that's on FAU's mind right now is winning the national championship. If that's not the stupidest sentence that ever came out of my mouth, the only thing that's on FAU's mind right now is winning the national championship. I don't know what is, but that's the truth. So while you don't want to think about it right now, because you got the regional championship tomorrow, I asked Ken yesterday, going into Sweet 16, 31 regular season wins, now 3 more up to 34 wins. But going into yesterday's game, it's a Sweet 16. You see Tobin Anderson from Fairleigh Dickinson. He leaves, 5 minutes after they lost FAU, he's the new Iona coach. The reality of it is now, especially after yesterday, Dusty May can have whatever job opening he wants. Now, Ken told, you got a lot of jobs out there that have now filled up over the last week. St. John's, Georgetown, you got these jobs that maybe you got some of these schools who are like, maybe we should have waited for Dusty May, FAU. But nonetheless, it could be right now, maybe it's in the future. Dusty May can have whatever job opening he wants. So the FAU fan, the alum, doesn't want to hear about it. They want to focus on this right now. But I will tell you what's interesting. I heard Dusty May this morning on, I listen to SiriusXM NBA radio. I love SiriusXM, okay? SiriusXM NBA radio, Mad Dog radio, Busted Open, Fight Nation, my favorite. So my shows, here are my shows. Here are the shows that I listen to every single day. All SiriusXM, all right? I listen to, obviously, Morning Men, SiriusXM Mad Dog Radio, Evan Cohen, Mike Babchick, Willie Colon, all right? Those guys are my favorite. I listen to SiriusXM NBA Radio every morning. Frank Isola, Brian Scalabrine, those guys are my favorite. And, of course, Busted Open, Fight Nation Channel 156, LaGreca and his crew there. That's my favorite. Got a lot of favorites. So I listen to those shows every day. Those are my shows. And this morning, Isola and Scalabrine had Dusty May on because Scal is tight with him from time at USC. Scalabrine when he was a player there, and Dusty May was like he was an assistant or team manager, I don't know. And so they had Dusty May on. And I thought it was interesting this is what he said, where he was talking about how dedicated he is to the school, and he specifically mentions not driven by money. Now, it's an interesting thing to say. We'll see if he really means it. Now, even if he were to leave, you can't fault him. Been there 5 years, like Ken was telling us yesterday. He's taken this school to heights it never came close to reaching. So, like Ken said to us yesterday, if somebody deserves it, it's this guy. But I did think that was, and we'll see, we'll see if he doesn't put his money where his mouth is, I guess, right? That's probably the phrase we should say. But he specifically said not driven by money. And if that's the case, then FAU has to give him a substantial raise, or at least offer him a substantial raise. And if that's the case, he may not go anywhere. Maybe he's happy. If he's driven by happiness, and he seems like a happy dude, and FAU gives him a substantial raise, he may not go anywhere. I thought it was interesting how he specifically said not driven by money. All right. He may be in it for the long. I mean, that seems kind of crazy, but maybe he'll be in it for the long haul there at FAU. I don't know. But what a game last night, man. I was really excited. It has potential to be a really amazing weekend, depending on what goes on with the Hurricanes men's basketball team and the Lady Canes, which is coming up this afternoon. You may be listening to the show right now. See, you're listening in the future. I'm in the past. You may know already what's happened with the Lady Canes. Maybe they won and you're super excited, like, ZASLOW, oh man, you're going to love the game. And by the way, you may be listening right now. ZASLOW, you hate women's basketball. You're right, I don't like women's basketball. But I also said a couple days ago, I probably need to be paying attention to what the Lady Canes are doing. So, 2:30 this afternoon, I'm going to be sitting my ass down on the ZASLOW Mansion family room couch, and I'm going to be watching the Lady Canes in Villanova. I'm into it. Like, I got to watch it. This is very intriguing. Destiny Harden, the Cavender twins, Katie Meyer. Those are all the players I know. So I got to be watching this. I got to keep it real and keep it don't, right? I'm going to be dialed into those Lady Canes this afternoon. Come on now. Let's get the weekend started. Let's get it started right. So this, and again, I'm not going to spoil it for you. We got big game or not a big game coming up. Will that be in it? I don't know. Talking about spoiling, all right? One of the newest sponsors on our show. When life gets salty, you make yourself a margarita, right? Well, when water damage gets you mold, call or text Water Cleanup of Florida. Newest sponsor, ZASLOW Show 2.0. The Greensteins at Water Cleanup of Florida, they're going to take care of you. Those are my guys, all right? I grew up with them. They're personal friends. Water Cleanup of Florida. When disaster strikes in your home or business, you need specialized, fast, and reliable services. Water Cleanup of Florida understands how any unexpected property damage, it can overtake your life, your business. It's so stressful. Well, you don't have to stress because allow Water Cleanup of Florida's 60-plus years of combined experience handle your restoration project from start to finish. The Water Cleanup of Florida team, they're going to handle any disaster, any size, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. They're fully licensed, insured general contractor that provides the one-stop shopping that a busy home or business owner requires. The objective is to make the cleanup and insurance claim process painless and hassle-free, serving the entire Tri-County area. Water Cleanup of Florida. Call or text 954-900-8635. That's 954-900-8635. You could also go to the website, wcufl.com. Water Cleanup of Florida. We clean up your schmutz. So, really pumped about FAU. Excited for that game tomorrow. It's not a huge sports weekend, man. Now, before we get to the next thing on the docket today, I hope everyone checked out yesterday. I don't know if you can go back like in the archives or something. I don't know. But I had a nice little appearance on NBA TV. Shout out to my man Justin Termini, Afternoon Drive, Termini and Eddie Johnson. Every day, I think it's 4 to 7 p.m. Every day on SiriusXM NBA Radio. Termini's been a guest on our show a couple times. I'm a big fan, and so he had me on his show. I think it's the second time I've been on the show with him. And so I was on NBA Radio yesterday, SiriusXM NBA Radio, and they also now have the app. So you can actually watch all of their radio shows. Isolo and Scalabrini in the morning. Then in the midday, you got Rick Kamla and Antonio Daniels. And of course, in the afternoon, you got my guy Justin Termini and Eddie Johnson. You could watch the shows now on the NBA app. So I was able to do video. So I'm on SiriusXM NBA Radio yesterday. We're talking Heat, but I'm also on the app. So it's also, split screen there with Termini. I love it. I thought I did a nice job representing the Heat. So I don't know if you can go back and check that out or what have you, but I appreciate those guys having me on. That got some good attention. We talked about the Heat. We talked about their chances of catching up. Number five, that's right. Things happened last night that were very beneficial for the Miami Heat. Very beneficial. So thanks to Termini and those guys. Brian Myers did an excellent job helping me set up the video portion here. So I appreciate those guys having me on. So the Heat didn't play yesterday. Oh, Jimmy Butler, I love you so much. Can I just give you Jimmy Butler's March numbers right now? I know Jimmy was asked recently about his play. It's like, I come to play after the All-Star break. It's not necessarily what you like to hear because the NBA has a major problem with players trying these days, but I don't think that's necessarily what Jimmy's talking about. I think what Jimmy's talking about is Jimmy clearly has another level. We have noticed in his 4 years here, and specifically we found out in his first year here, he takes it to another level when the playoffs get going. That's playoff Jimmy. And you may remember in Jimmy's first year here, you'd always heard of Jimmy, great clutch player. Loves the ball in his hands at the end of games. Jimmy's first year here, he stunk in the clutch. And then I was like, man, what's going on here? And then when we got to the playoffs, oh my God, this is, we're talking all-time great clutch player. Like there's Dwayne Wade, and then right next to him is Jimmy Butler. That's how good he was in the clutch in all of those postseason games in 2020. So we learned That very first year, Jimmy Butler, amazing postseason player. And playoff Jimmy's here. Playoff Jimmy has arrived. So I told you about a month ago, we need playoff Jimmy before the playoffs. Jimmy Butler's March numbers. You ready for this? There aren't very many guys who can do this. This goes in every sport. The really great players, if they can be the guy in the playoffs that they are in the regular season, that's a star player. Because you got the pressure in the postseason, you're playing great teams every night in the postseason. If you're a star and you can replicate your production from the regular season in the postseason, that's big time. Then there's some other guys who don't just replicate what they do in the regular season, they take it to another level. That's Jimmy Butler. That's Jimmy Butler. Look at these numbers for Jimmy Butler. This month of March, 27 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists per game. 58% field goals. 47% threes. 87% free throws. That's big time. That's playoff Jimmy. Jimmy is one of those rare players. If you're as good in the postseason as you are in the regular season, you're a great player. He takes it to another level. That's a superstar. And so, even though the Heat didn't play last night was a really good night for the Heat. So Cleveland beat Brooklyn. We needed Brooklyn to lose. Brooklyn lost to Cleveland a couple nights ago. This is why that Chicago loss that the Heat had over the weekend was so stupid. But Brooklyn lost both their back-to-back games against Cleveland. And last night, Brooklyn had an 8-point lead with 2 minutes left. Lost the game in regulation. Yep. Lost in regulation. Totally choked, totally coughed it up. So now look, the Heat are percentage points now ahead of the Brooklyn Nets. The Heat actually have the 6th spot right now. But you can't look at that. You got to look at the loss column. Otherwise, that's amateur hour. So, yes, the Heat are 6th now ahead of Brooklyn. So the Heat control their own destiny, essentially. With 8 games left, if the Heat win their final 8 games, they will not be in the play-in. Okay, they're not going to win their final 8, but you understand what I'm saying. The Heat's next game is tomorrow, hosting Brooklyn. Now, they will not win the tiebreak against Brooklyn. Head-to-head, no matter what happens tomorrow, Brooklyn wins the tiebreak this year. So that's why winning tomorrow is so huge. You have to finish with a better record than the Nets. The Knicks, you do not have to finish with a better record. The Knicks lost last night also to the Orlando Magic. The Knicks, they may be falling apart a little bit. They've lost 3 in a row. The Nets have lost 5 in a row. The Heat have won 7 of the last 10 games. The Heat are 1 game back in the loss column of New York. The Heat play the Knicks again next week. You win that game, you tie the season series 2-2. You also pick up a game there on the Knicks, and the Heat will then own the tiebreak because the Heat are going to win the Southeast Division, and the Knicks are not going to win the Atlantic. I told you, I got to raise my hand. I was dead wrong. I thought the Heat were essentially locked into a play-in spot, probably number 7. Now, you got to shoot for 5. Now, if the Heat don't get number 5, with playoff Jimmy in full force now, with the Nets reeling, with the Knicks reeling, and with an opportunity against both teams within the next week, if the Heat don't get number 5 at this point, major disappointment. Major disappointment. And while there's no real difference between being 6 and 7, I mean, 7 you're in a play-in, I would not be afraid of the Heat being number 7 and having to win a home game, probably against Atlanta, to clinch that 7 playoff spot. Difference between 6 and 7 as far as who you would play in the first round, there's really no difference. It's going to be Boston or Philadelphia. You don't know which one it's going to be. And both those are going to be really hard. If you could jump up to number 5 and you're playing Cleveland in the first round, the series the Heat can win. It's a series the Heat can win. I think the Heat can win against Philadelphia, too. I think they would give Boston a lot of problems, too. But Cleveland, The Heat would go into that series against the Cavaliers, and you would expect them to win if you're a Heat fan. And a lot of people would likely pick the Heat if that stuff matters to you. So there is a major difference now from being 6 or 7 and being 5th. Facing the Cavaliers or facing the Celtics or Sixers. Major difference. That's now the goal. And look, the Heat's remaining schedule is tough. You got Brooklyn tomorrow, then at Toronto next week, and at New York. The New York game you like because you're going to have a chance there to make up the ground on your own. Now here are the remaining 5 games in April. Hosting Dallas, team sucks, Kyrie's poison. At Detroit, at Philadelphia. Philly's going to need that game. At Washington, hosting Orlando. So, you have to get those games, Washington and Orlando. You got to get that game against Detroit. That's 3. You got to get that game hosting Dallas. That's 4. The games that are very tough are that Philadelphia game. Excuse me. Obviously, the Brooklyn game tomorrow. At Toronto is very tough. And at New York. Of those other 4 games, you have to go at least 2-2 in those 4 games. Meaning the 2 wins need to be Brooklyn and New York. So if you lose at Toronto and lose at Philadelphia, you're then 6-2 in those final 8 games. So you got to ask, I think that's a reasonable expectation. You got to win those 4 games against the easy teams I just told you there. Dallas, Detroit, Orlando, Washington. You have to beat Brooklyn and New York if you want to jump them both. So let's tag losses. They're not going to win every game. So let's tag losses against Toronto and Philadelphia. At Toronto and at Philadelphia. Does 6-2. 46 wins. Tell you, for a year, it's been very frustrating. 46 wins, not bad. 46 wins and owning the tiebreak against the Knicks. Could that get you there? The Knicks would then, if the Heat go 46-36, 6-2 in their final 8 games, the Knicks would have to go 4-3 their final 7 games. The Knicks' remaining schedule. Can we find 3 losses here for the Knicks? The Knicks' remaining schedule. Houston, that's not a loss. Miami, okay, let's count it as a loss. At Cleveland, that's a big one. They could lose that game. Washington, at Indiana, at New Orleans, Indiana. Easy schedule. So I could count 2 losses there. Can we find a 3rd loss? Can we find a 3rd loss there? Because if the Knicks go 5-2 there, they're going to have 47 wins. The Heat will not catch them at 6-2 the rest of the way. The Nets, on the other hand, and the Heat will not have the tiebreak against the Nets. This is important. If the Heat get to 46 wins, can the Nets go 6-3 the rest of the way? At least 3 losses. Can we find 3 losses for the Nets? Let's see. At Miami, that's 1. At Orlando. Houston. Atlanta. Atlanta doesn't beat anybody. Utah. You know what? I'll tag a loss there. Minnesota. That team stinks. I know Karl Anthony Towns back. At Detroit. Orlando. Philadelphia. Philly probably needs that game, but maybe not. Maybe they'll have clinched by then. Let's tag a loss on them. I could see 3 losses there for Brooklyn, but it better not come down to that Philly game because Philly may have something already locked up, and if that's the case, you know they're sitting Embiid. So it's going to come down. I could see Brooklyn losing 3 games. New York's going to be tight, but they're not playing good basketball right now, either team. And the Heat would then have to go 6-2 in these final games. It's going to come right down to the wire. Right down to the wire. Playoff Jimmy, man. The Heat are in a position that I did not think they were going to be able to be in, where they have a legit shot at number 5. And again, for me, it's not about getting out of the play-in. It's about avoiding Boston or Philly in the first round. And I'm not scared of Boston or Philly. It's just, let's use some common sense here. You'd rather play Cleveland. So anyway, that's what we're looking at right now. Now, before we get to the main attractions for the weekend, There's a lot happening here. You're going to sit back on your couch just like me this afternoon and tonight. Maybe you're going to get it going this afternoon with the Lady Canes. I don't know. But you're going to sit back. You're going to relax. You're going to crack open a six-pack of Johnny Cuba. You need to pick up a new six-pack of Johnny Cuba. Maybe you've never even tried Johnny Cuba. I love when you guys send me the videos. You're trying the official beer of ZASLOW Show 2.0 for the very first time. Like, yo, ZASLOW is delicious. I go, of course, I know it is. And then I post the picture on my Instagram story because I'm an influencer and you're famous now. Johnny Cuba, European roots of the Caribbean soul, a refreshing German lager in a can. Pick up a six-pack for the weekend at your local Sedano's, Presidente, Winn-Dixie, Fresco, y Mas. You always got to drink responsibly. That's how I'm going to kick back tonight. I got a new six-pack of Johnny Cuba I picked up yesterday. Now, I'm not drinking all six. I'm not a lush, but I'm going to at least have a couple here this evening. Pick up a six-pack of Johnny Cuba yourself. You send me a picture on Instagram, at ZASLOWJ. I'll post it there. You're going to be famous before you know it. And, of course, don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra. I practically live my life by it. Stay tranquilo. Let's get to big game or not a big game. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. Big game or not a big game. It's the weekend. You're like, yo, ZASLOW, I don't know. Is it a big game or is it not a big game? Well, I'm here to tell you there's a lot of action going on this weekend. There's a lot happening. We got to make sure you know what to spend your time on. Big game or not a big game is brought to us by Brunt Insurance. BruntInsurance.com, 954-589-2204. You need homeowners insurance. Don't let it keep you up at night. You're wondering, God forbid something happens, how am I going to pay for it? That's why Greg Brunt and his team at Brunt Insurance, I've been using them for 10 years now. I don't have to worry about that. And because you're a ZASLOW Show 2.0 listener, I want to take care of you. Brunt Insurance and Financial Services, they're going to take care of you as well. The market's really confusing out there. Let Greg Brunt and his team sort it out for you. Fully licensed staff. They know the area from Pensacola to the Keys and beyond. Brunt Insurance, they're going to deliver comprehensive insurance and financial solutions tailored to your needs. Not just home, auto, life insurance, boat, condo, renters. You know what I'm talking about. BruntInsurance.com, 954-589-2204. Let's get after it. First up here, this afternoon, Friday, 2:30, ESPN, number 9 seed, Lady Canes versus the number 4 seed, Villanova. The Canes are coming off of a shocker at Indiana a few nights ago. They knocked off the number 1 seed. Haley Cavender is shushing the crowd. Destiny Harden has the game winner. First time ever the Lady Canes and Katie Meyer and them girls are at the Sweet 16. They got a chance to get to the regional final with a win this afternoon over Villanova. Miami versus Villanova, that's a big game. Know it. Tonight, University of Miami still center stage. 7:15, CBS. The number 5 Midwestern region seed, Miami Hurricanes, against the number 1 seed, Houston. The Hurricanes, Jim Larinaga and them boys, second straight year, first time in school history, Sweet 16. Can they get back to the regional championship for the second time? They're going to have to knock off the number 1 seed, Houston. Norchad Omier, 17 rebounds last game. Come on now. He's looking more and more like himself. Isaiah Wong, Nigel Pack. This Canes team, they could beat anyone. They're a great offensive team. Do we get an offensive outburst, an explosion tonight against Houston? Are they going to shock the number 1 seed? Canes, Houston, that's a big game. All right, let's keep it moving here. Saturday, a big sports day Saturday. Saturday, 5 p.m., Bally Sports, Florida. The New York Rangers at your Florida Panthers. Now, the Panthers had a very upsetting night last night. They got their ass kicked. They got their ass kicked in by the Toronto Maple Leafs last night at FLA Live Arena. Panthers lost 6-2 last night. Bobrovsky, what are you going to do? The Maple Leafs are awesome. And they couldn't keep up with them. So now, the Panthers, they actually got a little bit of help last night. I was watching the Penguins and Stars on ESPN last night. The Penguins lost again. So back-to-back losses for the Panthers. The Penguins coming off a win against the Avalanche a few nights ago. They lost last night against the Stars. So the Panthers didn't lose any ground. They find themselves still 3 back of the number 1 wildcard Islanders, who play tonight. They're at Columbus. They stink. And their Panthers are 1 point back still of the number 2 wildcard, the Penguins. All 3 of those teams are even. They have 10 games left. So we know where we stand. We're 3 back and 1 back. So tomorrow, against a Ranger team, they're top 3 in the Metro Division. They're going to make the playoffs. The number 2 seed, which will be home ice advantage in the first round against New Jersey, is very much still in play for them. Rangers at Panthers. That's a big game. Yeah, it is. That's a big game. All right. Saturday, 6:09 p.m. TBS. Don't tune in at 6:10. You'll miss the first minute. FAU Owls, the number 9 seed, at number 3 seed, Kansas State. Kansas State last night, they win in overtime over Michigan State. FAU, Kansas State tomorrow are playing for the regional championship and a spot in the Final Four. It's unbelievable. Madison Square Garden, FAU has a chance to cut down that region's nets. Unbelievable. Of course, FAU and Kansas State is a big game. You know what I'm talking about. All right, everybody calm down. Saturday night, 7:30, Apple Plus. Chicago at Inter Miami. Now, I don't know if you know, I'm an inaugural season ticket holder. Inter Miami's 2-2. They've lost their last 2 games, both on the road. Inter Miami's 2-0 at home. So they're back in the friendly confines of Dry Pink Stadium. Now, I'm not going to the game tomorrow night. What, ZASLOW? You're an inaugural season ticket holder. How are you not going to the game? There's too much happening. I got to watch the tournament with FAU. I got to watch the Panthers. There's another game coming up in a few moments here. I got to watch that as well. No spoilers here. There's too much happening. So, if I'm an inaugural season ticket holder and I'm not going to go to the game tomorrow night, Chicago at Inter Miami, not a big game. There's too much going on otherwise. I'm sorry. Doesn't mean I'm not going to be watching. I am. Just not going. Finally, got one more for you ass. Saturday, 8 p.m. Bally Sports Sun. The Brooklyn Nets at your Miami Heat. The Heat can gain another game on the Brooklyn Nets. They could really send the Nets reeling. I mean, I told you that the Nets were going to drop out of that 5-6 position and they're going to be a playing team. I thought I was going to wind up being wrong after they were playing well initially after the trade. Now it's looking like I'm going to be right. I get it right sometimes. The Heat, playoff Jimmy's here. I already gave you his numbers. Kyle Lowry, coming off the bench, has not been awful. He hasn't. I gotta be honest. Tyler Hero, best fourth quarter player. Bam Adebayo, defensive player of the year. Eric Spoelstra, best coach. I can go on and on. The point is, Nets at Heat. That's a big game. And that right there is another edition. A big game or not a big game. Yes. And it's brought to us by Brunt Insurance and Financial Services. Make sure that your home is taken care of. You don't want to get caught off guard. BruntInsurance.com, 954-589-2204.